to another episode of We Speak Podcast. We're on episode number 6, and today we got an awesome guest, Mikey also known as Coach Mikey the One. Round of applause, everyone. I appreciate you being here, man. It's a pleasure, man.
Of course, man.
So how have you been, man? How's everything going?
I've been good, man. Pushing 30 here, about to turn 28 this month, and I would say that my adult life officially started taking off, after college and stuff. So get to experience all those things, the awesome things that we get to experience in adulthood, being independent and a real-time career and stuff. So it's been great, man. Can't complain.
Yeah, man. Dude, we've known each other for so long. It's crazy to just sit here and talk with you, man. Like, we used to be kids, and now we look at each other, and we're like grown versions of ourselves, man. Do you feel like we still have that kid in us?
Absolutely, man. Yeah, bro, it's crazy to think about how far back we go. And I absolutely think that we have that kid in us still. And I think if not, then it's important for us to find that kid again. I think that you always got to stay young. You always got to hang on to that inner child. That's what kind of keeps you grounded when life can get a little tricky. Like I just mentioned, adulthood, comes with a lot of responsibility. And hanging on to that kid, that inner kid, just helps remind you that, we're here for a good time, not a long time. So ultimately, life is serious, responsibilities are serious, but, you got to have fun with the time that we have here, so.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And I know you're really busy, man. It's hard getting a hold of friends nowadays because everyone's kind of just doing their own thing. But I mean, you especially, man, you're really on it. You've been on it for a long time. I remember even, during your college days, you weren't really that easy to reach because you were always focusing on your thing and what you got to do. So when I say it's a pleasure to have you here, I really appreciate your time just being here. I know it's hard to even make time for things like this especially, but I'm eternally grateful. But I do want to mention you've kind of been on your fitness grind for a very long time, and I'm sure it's a lot more than that too. It's probably deeper than just fitness itself. Mm-hmm. But when did you initially become motivated to kind of just focus on your fitness, and how has it evolved over time?
That's a great question. They could probably take minutes to answer. I'll keep it as short as possible.
Appreciate it.
It started off obviously, growing up as kids, what were we doing as an activity was skating, right? We were skating a ton. We were skaters, dirtbag skaters. Shout out to JR, my man. But after skating, passion kind of died off a little bit, which is sad to say, but you evolve, you outgrow things. I started developing a passion for football and sports. I remember I was in the courtyard during recess. I think it was in 5th grade, and we were playing football, and I barely even knew what was going on. I didn't know the rules, but I just knew that when the ball was in the air, everybody was running towards it, trying to catch it. And I just remember this moment where I was running after a ball, and I didn't catch it, but I saw it, and I was trying to track it down. But just that brief 5 seconds of me running towards the ball was just absolutely exhilarating. So after that, I got interested into football. But even prior to that, I was introduced to strength training, weightlifting. I saw my brother and his friends doing it in our garage at home. His friends would come through, and they would lift with the little bench press, and they would hit the punching bag. And, one night I decided, I think I was in 6th grade or 7th grade, to stuff my book bag up with heavy textbooks and just literally stood in the mirror and was just upright rowing that over and over. And I did it pretty much till failure. I didn't really have a structured amount of sets and reps. But I loved the feeling, the pump you get, the blood flow. Yeah. So I felt even stronger after doing a couple of reps. So I think that's where I kind of fell in love with strength training, and pretty much the rest is history, fast forwarding to 7th and 8th grade, I started playing football at Norwich at NYA with Zoran. Shout out to Zoran, my guy. We started playing together, and then we started training together. After school, we would go to my basement and use all that same old gym equipment that my brother and his friends were using. But this time we had had a little bit more knowledge. We were a little bit more structured. And then I got a Gold's Gym membership in the mall.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember they were like, you have to have an adult with you, because I wasn't even I was well under 18. So, I mean, just the rest is history. After lifting that book bag with textbooks, single arm upright rows in front of the mirror, I kind of just fell in love with it from there. And then, once Zorn and I started playing, I think my 7th grade year was my first year, and I was trash. I mean, I had no clue what I was doing. I probably had like 4 tackles on the year. Fast forward to 8th grade year, the jump in progress was tremendous. I was like, pretty much me and Zorn were the best players in the league. And, I had like 62 tackles, multiple forced fumbles, fumble recoveries, blocked punts. I had every stat that you could have without actually getting the ball, because in that league they had weight restrictions, and I was a single striper, meaning I couldn't get the ball unless I fumbled somebody and picked it up. So, that's pretty much where it all started. And since then, fitness has just been a huge part of my life, and mainly because of the sport I was playing, I was extremely passionate about that.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, I do remember around that time where you were pretty big on football when you were playing at the NYA, right, in Orange.
Mm-hmm.
So, were people kind of like prospecting you around that time, like different high schools or anything like that?
No, not necessarily. Norwich, small town, and NYA is not a big league by any means. It's not like travel, Pee Wee, or Pop Warner football. So, no type of like recruitment out of there. I just had a buddy that played in high school at the time. He was 2 years older than us, and he kind of just vouched for me transitioning from 8th grade to freshman year. Plus, I started going to the workouts, the football workouts as an 8th grader, and that's where I started getting a lot more exposure, and coaches started recognizing the potential. The recruiting process or getting prospected happened more so later in my high school career.
Yeah, because, dude, honestly, like when you talk about your passion, I remember seeing it in you, because I don't know if you remember, while you were in football, as a freshman, I feel like the coaches kind of wanted to push you even harder, because in a way, I feel like they expected a lot out of you. But, would you agree with that?
Absolutely, yeah. They asked me to play varsity my freshman year, and I had a big workload. I was playing JV, junior varsity. I was suiting up for varsity now, and I also played freshman. Now, I wasn't getting a ton of reps in at varsity, but I did start at receiver, so that was big time. It was super nerve-wracking to go from NYA football, where I wasn't even allowed to catch a pass, to, hey, I'm next level varsity next year. But I think they saw that potential in me, and I ultimately was really grateful for the opportunity, even though I was really nervous, but it ended up being a good thing.
Okay, I hear you. Yeah, man, because it's just so amazing to see how much you've grown, man. Like, you have like this vibe where it's like you can be super serious, but like I feel like that Mikey that I know is in there somewhere, man.
He is. That goofy kid, man.
Yeah, man, that's great to see, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
And I can only imagine how much pressure like must have been on you, man, because I remember one day we were playing basketball, and you kind of said this thing to me. I don't know if you remember. You were like, "Dude, it's tough being like the bigger guy, because people think they could just like try to like shove you around and stuff like that, like because you're bigger."
You got the target on your back.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And I remember when we first started hooping, man. Like, I had no idea what I was doing, so I'd be a lot more physical, like pushing and stuff. But I think from you, honestly, I learned how to be a better basketball player. So I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, of course, man. Look, kudos to you. Like, you only get better at something if you want to. So I know, like, we were playing a lot of pickup ball, and I've watched you develop the skill set that you have now when we play, which is cool. It's cool when we can like make each other better. And that's what a friendship is about. It's about being goofy, messing around with each other like we used to all the time as kids, walking home from the mall, like doing pranks on each other, and evolving to this. It's pretty cool to see and reflect on.
Do you remember when we were kids, man, when it would be around the winter, like you said, we would just walk around the neighborhood all the time, and I remember being in the parking lot of Put in Edge and everything, and we would just jump on those big, like, snowy, like,
the snow mountains.
Like,
we would climb on top of them because the snow plows would make those mountains, and we would run on top of them. Yeah, man, those days were crazy because, like, the world was our playground. Like, we were in the mall, in that arcade. we would just be going to stores. Like we would go to Kohl's and like just sit in the massage chairs and like just fuck around, like anything. Can I curse on the podcast?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Excuse my French, yo. We would go fuck around in the mall and just be there for hours. And you know, obviously kids, coming from immigrant families, pretty much, like, you know, low income. I don't know about your situation, but I know, like, we didn't come up wealthy. We weren't a silver spoon, so we we had to scavenge for any food we got. We would be starving in the mall. We would go to Panda Express and ask for free samples.
Yeah.
Go back to the fucking back of the line and ask again. They'd be like, no, y'all, you're good. Get out of here, you know. That bourbon chicken, that orange chicken, yeah, man. You know, I wouldn't trade it for the world, you know. That's why, you know, I've transitioned from, and I'm still like that goofy kid. I still like to have fun, but I transitioned to being more serious, more intentional with my work, the way I walk, the way I talk, because, you know, development and evolving and getting it out the mud, I mean, it just don't get better than that. It's so much more valuable than, you know, getting things handed to you, so.
No, definitely, man, and, you know, I did want to ask, because I think you're pretty big on, like, the power, excuse me, you're pretty big on, like, the power of routine. So how have you, like, incorporated that, or how has that impacted your personal and your professional life? Well, and first, I mean, if you could actually start by explaining to us, like, what does power of routine mean to you?
Power of routine means gaining momentum to me. There actually is a science behind momentum, and, you know, what you do with the first hour of your day will more than likely dictate what the rest of your day looks like. So that's where power of routine is most influential for me, is with the first hour. Right when I wake up, what am I doing? Am I checking notifications on Snapchat and Instagram and my phone? Or am I, you know, leaving the phone on the nightstand for the whole first hour and doing my routine, which we can dive into. But it's just big on tone setting. Like I said, you win the first hour of your day, you're more than likely to win the rest of the day. And I try to win every day because, you know, the more you win, the more wins you stack up throughout the day, the closer you are to reaching your goals and evolving as a human being.
That's big, man. So is that, how does that incorporate on your, like, professional lifestyle? Like, how do you feel like that benefits?
It benefits it by creating more structure. You know, with the busy schedule and stuff, having structure is big. And I'm not like the most punctual person. My time management certainly had to be improved over time because, you know, I'm kind of just like a last minute Larry, but you know, at the end of the day, I hustle, I get it done. So, you know, power of routine has helped me create more structure with both my personal and professional life. It's very fulfilling to win the first hour of your day, do healthy habits, and, you know, that translates to my sessions with my clients, you know, that translates to tasks, projects getting done. It kind of motivates me more. And motivation, it ain't always there. You know, they say to rely on discipline, but I like to spin off of discipline and go to action because, you know, action is what keeps you disciplined. Sometimes action is the biggest motivator. Like, you don't want to do it. You don't want to get up and do this routine, but just get up and just fucking go do it. Even if you dread it the whole time, I guarantee you at some point, either halfway through or once you're done with the routine, you can be, damn, I'm glad I did this. Like, some switch goes off in your brain, you know? And, you know, we could talk about, like, what happens in your brain and the science behind it. There's big time research out there that suggests that, you know, doing certain things, developing certain habits will help you in your personal and professional life.
Absolutely. Excuse me. No, but absolutely, that's big. Honestly, hearing that, like, to our friends watching, like, sitting here with Mikey, man, it's crazy hearing these things. I hope you catch some of this, man. This is awesome.
A whole lot of talking. Well, would you like me to talk to you about my routine?
So I was actually going to ask you, like, to kind of speak on your profession, man. Like what have you been working on? Like, how's work? And, you know, kind of just tell us, like, what your profession is, what kind of inspired you to kind of get into that. Some of us know, but, like, I feel like not everybody has that understanding of what it is and what it means to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So what most would say what I do is personal training, private trainer, performance coach, whatever you want to call it, depending on which client I'm working with. What I say is, you know, it's in my Instagram bio, you know, what I do for a living and to fulfill my purpose is increasing the quality of human life through movement. So what that looks like is, in college, obviously I graduated with a bachelor's in kinesiology with a coaching minor. And that's, for those of you that don't know what kinesiology is, it's exercise science, fancy way to say it. And, so that's what my profession is. I studied that in college. In high school, obviously was working out a ton. So it was kind of my niche. It was the one thing I was good at, that I was confident in. So that's what I decided to study. Out of college, I had an internship at a performance gym called EFC Sport Performance up in Highland Park. Beautiful neighborhood that I'd never been exposed to in the past. And I started out with like boot camp in the morning with adults. I mean, these Highland Park moms, just highly motivated women, just getting it done early in the morning, either before or after they drop their kids off, and just surrounded by that. And also the athletes would come in shortly after that, the pros, the NFL guys, the NBA guys, and then the college kids would come in after that. We did speed and then strength afterwards. So it was cool being exposed to like adults that are getting it done. They're making money, they're fit, they're healthy, and it was cool to get exposed to, professional athletes and college guys, which for like most people know about me. When I was playing football, I obviously had aspirations of going as far as I can with football, thinking about going to the league or other professional leagues, aside from the NFL. And the biggest thing for me that gave me the confidence to pursue that was, like I mentioned earlier, the jump of progress from 7th to 8th grade in that football league. My second year, just a tremendous amount of improvement. And then going into freshman year and sophomore to junior year was just big leaps in progress every single year. So it was like this, it almost felt like 3 years of progress in one. So I said, well, at this rate, this is a huge success rate. If I keep this up in college and I'm able to continue to develop as a football player and as a leader, as an individual with good character and good work ethic, attitude, effort, all that I I have a shot at least going undrafted, Obviously, we all know the name of the game. You live by the game, you die by the game. So, I did suffer shoulder injury my senior year pretty early on. Dislocated it. That put me out for a couple of games while I was doing rehab. I was fighting to come back. Came back, week 7, I think it was. Had a great game. Came back week 8, big conference game against Glenbard South. And, at that point, I was playing linebacker. I was playing on both sides of the ball, as I did throughout my whole career. But when I was playing linebacker, I was just flying out there, like putting my body on the line, because I knew what it felt like to have it taken away from you. And your senior season, that's huge. My junior year was big. I was recruited by many colleges, D1, D2, AA schools. So, I knew I had a shot at what I was pursuing, because just to be, recruited by a Division I school was a huge accomplishment. But I knew I had unfinished business. So, I was out there flying, putting my body on the line, and made a couple of great tackles, and just one play on the goal line. It was like a fullback dive, and met him in that A gap, and I just popped him a little bit. Shoulder went right back out, and then I was just like, man, so jogged to the sideline, crying like a baby, because it hurt, first of all, and I knew, second of all, that, hey, this is the second time, so I'm out for the rest of the year. And then athletic trainer said, yeah, you're going to need surgery. And then I said, that's it. That's my high school career. So, a lot of heartbreak that night, but, it taught me a lot. And football alone taught me a lot. So I feel like it was meant to be. I would not be the person I am today without that sport in my life.
Oh, brother, for real. I mean, thank you for sharing that. It's tough, man. I appreciate you, sharing that to me and to whoever's going to be watching. But we did kind of have a smaller school, so like when you said you were playing both sides of the ball, I mean, I feel like that was almost like, a given when you're a great athlete such as yourself, like they're going to want you on both sides.
Yeah,
like I said,
many guys played both sides of the ball just due to low volume of players, and obviously they wanted the best guys playing both sides of the ball. So
yeah, man, and I feel like, a lot of people kind of go through that, devastating outcome, getting injured and, kind of getting that opportunity just taken away from them. Because, I talked to somebody the other day who was playing football and had this story where he was also doing well, but his senior year, that's when COVID kind of hit. So, there was no season.
Oh, man.
So no scouts coming out, no opportunities, man, just right out the window. So their senior year of football just got taken away.
And yeah, shout out to that graduating class. Y'all went through some hard times because COVID was hard for a lot of people. For me, I was able to take advantage of the situation. I was already working. Companies still paid me through COVID, a minimal amount, but hey, I was grateful for it. So shout out to the generation that had to lose out on senior year for sports, for school, because, man, that's huge,
Yeah, it is tough. I mean, I was getting those unemployment paychecks. I wasn't complaining, Obviously, like, I felt, for all those people who had, like, tragic stories, close ones passing, everything like that, people getting really terminally ill. It was just a devastating time. It was a scary time.
It was a scary time.
I mean, in a way, I feel like it kind of helped us grow, man. But I also wanted to ask you about spirituality, man. Like how big are you on that, and like how do you incorporate that into your life?
I'm big on it. I haven't really developed a sense for spirituality up until kind of recently, maybe 3 years ago or 4. But I feel like I always had it in me. I feel like I always had this almost like a sixth sense where I can read energy very well. I can, project energy very well, and I can feel things, right? So like, man, let's date back to my skating days where I was listening to more punk rock and Slipknot or something like that, like a lot of rock music. CKY, stuff of that nature. I would be riding with my headphones in, like skating, and like the music would amp me up, and I would feel goosebumps. I would like listen to music and picture in my head, visualize myself making plays on the football field, and like I would literally get tears in my eyes, like obviously not like happy tears or sad tears, but like inspired tears. And I'm at this young age, and I'm like, wow. And like they say like people that can feel music like that tend to have a higher vibration or more in touch with their spiritual side. So I knew I always had it in me, because I had this really special thing inside of me that like I was able to bring out, and it would motivate me. That's what how I've stayed motivated and pursued these goals, is like that energy, that I'm able to like channel from within. So, I started doing, breathing exercises. Plenty of people are familiar with diaphragmatic breathing and cold plunging nowadays. It's like trending, but I started doing like Wim Hof breathing. My brother introduced it to me, and I started doing more of that, and I started like doing a little bit more research on grounding. Going outside first thing in the morning. I do
like bare feet on the grass.
Bare feet in the grass. They say like ions from the earth or something take out like negative ions from your body. Oh, wow. Some of that nature. Big with nature too. I've always like loved nature. I love hearing like birds chirp. Being out in the city, I love it here. I love the water. Is my most favorite part about the city is the water, and that just goes to show like I'm a nature boy. So I've been more in touch with my spirituality through like routine and practice, because just like everything else, you could train your mind, you could train your muscles to grow stronger. I've been trying to train my spiritual side a little bit more. So like back to my routine is like I'll get up first thing in the morning and get outside and get natural sunlight in my eyes before I let any type of artificial light hit me in the eyes. I mean, and I'm like a stickler about it. I'll open the fridge like with my eyes closed.
Dude, yeah.
Like just like barely open, so I could grab like water. I'll drink some water, I'll get outside, and I'll do a power pose to the sun. And I'll give the sun some affirmations for the day. Today's gonna be a great day. I love that I'm inspired. I am inspired. I'm inspiring. I'm wealthy, I'm healthy, I'm strong, I'm capable, I have ambition, and just affirmations like that. And some clients that I work with, they actually live next door. They invited me over for breakfast one day, and I was just talking to them a little bit about that routine and what I do. And she's from India, and she said that in that culture, that talking to the sun is like, she told me what it's called. I don't recall what she named it or what it's named, but she was telling me about it, and she said in that culture it's big. And it's like, think about like back in the day, like ancient practices, like talking to the sun is like something people have been doing for a very long time. And I feel like, as we evolved as a society and technology started taking over, these new generations, they're great because they're more capable, because they have more resources. Absolutely. But they're losing that spiritual side. But I love the fact that it's trending now, because now we can pull back and be in touch with that spiritual side and practice spirituality while we have these advancements in technology and resources. So we're really like optimizing the quality of a human life. Aside from like food and stuff, I know the food industry's a little messed up nowadays, like you got fruit sprayed with pesticides, fish farms, all these crappy ingredients that people eat isn't really optimal for living a long life, but at least, we're excelling in other areas. So spirituality, like to give you like a conclusion, is just something I've been practicing more of, especially for my mental health, and just to understand my purpose more in life, and just to make me a more quality human being, a better friend, a better brother, a better boyfriend, a better son, and a lot of that, was inspired by like my dad passing away too. My passion was driven more, so, and just being able to see the beauty in the chaos and the darkness really kind of just changes your life, your whole perspective on things. So that's what I've been trying to focus on a lot more with the spirituality routine.
I hear you, man, and thank you for sharing all that. Honestly, that's some really powerful stuff. I hope anybody watching can kind of hear that and, take the good from that. I feel like you definitely are inspiring a lot of people, just by bettering yourself. You're already bettering those around you. Mm-hmm. I did want to ask, though, like, do you, well, first of all, I just wanted to throw this out there really quick. That whole thing about the sun and like sunlight, I hear you when you say you're a stickler and you open the fridge with your eyes closed. Yeah. When I wake up and I see sunlight beaming through the shades, I'll try to go by it. I won't even go in my bathroom because I don't want to turn the light on and be, exposed to that artificial light. I'm just like, oh man. But what advice would you give to somebody like me and maybe others out there who kind of just wake up, get their coffee, and they aren't thinking about these things, like getting in tone with their spirituality, and like are kind of struggling with that piece of them?
I would, just remember this one thing, that you can only be your best self if you fill your cup first. So, if you wake up and you're thinking about what you need to do for work and you're enjoying some coffee, and I'm a big coffee person, I love it. I just try not to touch it first thing. And it serves like for a good afternoon pick-me-up. If I don't touch caffeine or coffee in the morning, I'd rather just do like natural things, like getting that sunlight, doing my deep breathing exercise, doing my power poses, my affirmations, maybe some physical activity, get the good dopamine going, a cold plunge, perhaps cold shower, and now I have natural, healthy, sustainable energy from about early morning to early afternoon. That's where it starts to die down a little bit, and boom, that's the perfect time to slam a latte, pick you up a little bit, and it's just, to me, like the best. And I'm not perfect. Sometimes I wake up and typically after a couple days in a row of being extremely disciplined with routine and decisions and habits, on the 6th or 7th day of the week or so, I'll be like, let's enjoy a coffee. I'm a little tired, a little sore today. And then, I'll hop on IG. I'll catch myself though. It's you're not going to be perfect. You implement this and you aim for 1 or 2 days out the week maybe to start, and then you start noticing, hey, I'm liking the improvements that this is bringing. Now you start getting addicted to the progress. You become obsessed. So now it's 3 to 4 days out the week you're doing it, and eventually it becomes a lifestyle. And that's what evolution is. It takes time, it takes consistency that will not always be there, and that's okay. You don't beat yourself up over those things. You just keep pursuing it.
Absolutely, that's awesome, man. So, how did you ever, like you say, you kind of catch yourself, did you ever experience a time in life where you kind of feel like you needed to reinvent yourself? Because it kind of sounds like, dude, right off the bat, you kind of just took off and you just stayed so consistent, man. And this is the most consistent I've ever seen anybody. You've just, to me, to a lot of people, I feel like you've just been so consistent on your grind, improvement, and just so big on these things. Is there ever a time where you weren't like this and you just kind of just had a pivotal moment where you just needed to reinvent yourself?
Absolutely. I would say a big part of my life growing into a young adult where I wasn't, and like, look, it was probably college. A lot of smoking weed with my roommates and fucking playing 2K and Madden, stuff like that. And but I was still like on my grind. I was like, in school, I was passing my courses. I think I failed like one course that I did summer school for, and I made that up. I was still getting it done. I got out of college in 4 years, and I was still hitting the gym and stuff. But I would say like early on was with my shoulder injury. After my surgery, I had to take a year off. I think that heartbreak really lit a fire in me. But during college, when I stopped playing football and I recovered from my injury and I was just kind of doing enough to get by, I wasn't doing no routine in the morning. Like, I would wake up, my room, I would already smell weed lit up in the living room, go out to the living room, hit some weed, and just kind of like, I was just kind of having fun, like just fucking around, like get high, go to the rec, hoop, come home and be tired and like finesse my way through my courses. But I think, going into junior year, when I got into the main courses and stuff, I started really honing in on learning. But that time in my life, like, was a time where I was less disciplined. I think that after college, going into my internship, like, I would be flamed by my supervisor there for showing up 3 minutes late and just seeing the intensity. And I would like joke with him and like try to laugh it off, and he wasn't laughing. He didn't think it was funny. And he said, 6 a.m. is your start time, and just having that like that accountability, was big. I wouldn't say I ever hit like an all-time low. I had low weeks, but this is the thing about me, is one of my strengths is like, I'll be down bad at some point, but best believe I'm going to get up. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to pick myself up, eventually at least. I would say in college is where I was kind of messing around a little bit more. I probably could have gotten more done. But, my goal was to get that degree, get out of there, and get started in the industry, which is what I did. But I would say mostly where I truly reinvented myself was when I started my career after my internship, because I realized I saw in these coaches and these trainers that were training these pros what they brought to the table, the being intentional, being punctual, and being extremely disciplined. Like, you show up every day and you can never tell these guys are in a bad mood. If they were, they got stuff going on, they're human. So that kind of inspired me to reinvent myself and to carry myself differently, walk differently, talk differently, how you portray yourself, like where you put your attention, that's where energy flows. So putting my attention in different areas. So that was a big time of reinventing myself. And even recently, man, like, I think about like what I don't like about myself. And I see people, I don't like to compare. No, comparison is a recipe for disaster. But I allow people that I look at as above me or that inspire me to motivate me to get to that level. So I would say after college and just every day, it's every day now, reinventing myself. The way I talk to people, the way I treat people that are random strangers, the way I treat people who have nothing to offer me is big time. Kindness and like inspiration, like being a leader, being someone who's reliable, and being someone who brings the best out of somebody. Be someone who's charismatic, that allows someone that you're surrounded by to elevate. I want to pick those up that are around me. So that's big. That's my purpose in life, and it's unlocking your purpose. It's really finding out like what am I here to do. And I'm not like, I don't go to church. I am a Christian. I believe in God, and I think that my purpose here on earth while I was put here was to bring quality to people, whether that's through kindness or through making them better, helping them unlock their potential, and that's all the motivation I need to get up every day.
Dude, that's the definition of a real leader right there. Honestly, man, I mean, you said it perfectly, lifting those around you who have nothing, that you would benefit from, just being a good person in general, that's huge. I try to live by that, and I recently, just started living by that as well, because it just feels good. Mm-hmm. Some would even say it's selfish that you just are good to others just because it makes you feel good in a way. But I try to just don't listen to that negative stuff, man. But
it's just a way to, that's just a super negative connotation around that. And I think that, because you feel good because you're helping others is a win-win. And it should never be viewed as selfish, right? And there's certain ways that you should be selfish at times. If you're someone who just gives, you give your company work, and you don't fill your cup, so you work all day and you're doing good in your company or at your job, but then you come home and you feel like shit about yourself, you feel like shit about your relationships with your parents, with your significant other, or with your friends, and no disrespect to anybody that feels that way, but like just know like it's okay to step away from like what you have to do to make money and to like work on yourself a little bit more, because that's the way the universe works. There's 3 steps. First, you got to love yourself.
Absolutely.
Like to a T, love yourself, like more than anybody. Once you love yourself, you increase your ability to give. And the more you love yourself, the more quality you give. And after you do those 2 steps, step 3 comes naturally, then you receive. And you just repeat over and over and over. So love yourself, give, and receive.
Absolutely, man, dude. And like I just can't stop saying, dude, that's beautiful stuff, man. And it's true, and I really do hope that a lot of people hear that. Like,
absolutely,
loving yourself is definitely number 1. And a lot of people who aren't as confident or kind of choose, and I say choose because I believe in that happiness is a choice, that choose to just not be happy. I think it starts from within. I was reading this book, and it was big on like choosing to be happy, and it's people just like not being able to accept themselves for the way they are or who they are, and it's just a crazy thing. But I'm glad you know that, dude. It's awesome. Like, I've never heard you say these things before, so just imagine like just hearing this now. It's huge.
Yeah.
And I love that you are the way you are and the way you think, man. Like that's great stuff, honestly.
I appreciate it, bro. And it's because like you are what you do. You are what you do. You're not what you say you're gonna do or what you say. So like I love preaching this stuff. It all sounds great, through the grapevine though. Like you have to embody it. You have to embody your philosophies. And I'm just a work in progress, and this is just a product of being a work in progress is all. You don't have to like always just talk about it. You just do. Do. And what you said earlier about like choosing your happiness is so big time. I agree with that. You certainly do have a lot more control over your reactions to situations. You're always in control of your attitude. You're always in control of your effort. And it's hard, man. Like I struggle sometimes, whether you have an argument with your significant other or like your family's going through a little tough patch where people are bickering and you're like, oh, like everything's falling apart. Oh my God. It's like, dude, look, what helps me when I struggle is like, I'm like, Mikey, this is the universe testing you to see if you are ready to embody your philosophy. Okay. So you can be a little bitch, I can be a little bitch for a little bit, but eventually I gotta embody my philosophy. So the way when I am faced with challenges, because everybody can do good when they're feeling great, it's a beautiful day today, it's been a good week, so it's easy to feel good, but it's like in those moments where you don't feel good, you're super unmotivated, all you have to do is stop for a second and tell yourself, I'm being tested to see if I'm ready to receive my blessings that I asked for. So don't ask God to give you blessings and complain that he put too much on your plate. You know what I'm saying? Like always remind yourself of that. When you have a hard time, when you have a tough week, tough month, tough year, you just have to constantly remind yourself that. It makes me feel better. Then I'm able to be like, okay, well shit. Let's do this then. And it's hard. You feel like you're crawling out of a hole, but at least you have a vision, right? Because if you're just down bad and your negative thinking just keeps putting you deeper, say to yourself, I'm being tested to see if I'm ready. And then you're like, oh, okay. All right, well, let's do this then. And then you slowly start climbing out of that hole. And that's been a huge mindset that's been able to help me be more successful in facing those trials and tribulations, those little challenges. Like it could be a challenge like losing my dad the way I did unexpectedly, or it could be something as simple as I can't get up and do my laundry. I just can't. I'm not motivated. I've been and you're just beating yourself up over it. Small, little, big, doesn't matter. I think it's all very important.
Dude, absolutely, man. Dude, that's you've grown so much, my guy, for real, dude. That's amazing. And like at this time, I kind of just want to twist it up a little bit. So,
Yeah.
and great stuff, honestly, for real. But just remember those times where we were just kids and like we would just smoke so much weed. Do you remember the time where I think, you know, obviously we'd always do it in my basement, and
Yeah.
then everybody started joining us. And do you remember the time where Yark was in my bathroom in my basement trying to smoke out of a can, and I kicked the door open?
Then it exploded in his face when he kicked the door. Look, and for those of y'all that don't know, like, when we were smoking in this guy's basement, obviously this was his mom's home. So, like, she would just ambush us from time to time. Like, she would come home and she would be, like, livid, screaming, and she would kick us all out. So not only did you scare the shit out of him and kick the can in his face, he probably in that split second thought like, oh shit, it's her mom, and then he just freaked. But yes, I do remember that. I even remember one of your uncles coming home and all of us like hiding in the basement.
Yeah.
I was hiding in you had this laundry room where clothes were always like on the floor scattered because you had so many family members. And we were like hiding in the clothes, and somebody was hiding in the shower, and he went in the bathroom to take a piss.
Yeah.
The dude was in the shower. I mean, like,
Who was
it's
it?
hilarious. I don't even know, man. I think it was Yarrick in there. Yeah, somebody was in that laundry room with me. I don't necessarily remember. That was cool and all to experience, man. But I'm just so glad that I like outgrew that stuff, because like, you know, at the end of the day, man, as a young developing person, to do what we were doing can go south very fast.
Oh, yeah.
And we've seen it. We've seen it happen to some of us, and some of us had to pull ourselves out of it. But
Absolutely.
like, it can create anxiety. It can ruin relationships with your parents if you have stricter parents. Like my parents were like hippies, you know, like my mom trusted me with everything. She was and she was a single mom, like working full time, so she had no choice but to trust me. You know, she couldn't always keep eyes on me, so she let me live like a free-flowing life. I had my older brother that was looking out for me too. So I just really appreciate the people in my life, how I was able to grow up, and that I was able to have enough self-awareness to like pull back from that. I mean, still, like, obviously I smoked weed like throughout, like since that time, throughout life. I just have done it more in moderation, and to this day I probably do it the least, just because, like, you know, my vision, I'm just really focused, and sometimes nowadays it just kind of creates more anxiety for me, you know. And I just like, I'm like, just let me get like one little quick fix when I need it, when I'm a little too stressed, take the edge off, and that's about it. But man, you know, we used to be rock stars.
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
My goodness, man, all those memories. Like, I feel like we can have a whole podcast just on like memories that we had doing that kind of stuff, man. But like you said, it did take some of us, you know, to grow out of it a little bit longer. Like me, for example, man, like when you were in college for those years, I kind of stayed back with everyone. And honestly, like, I felt like left out. I felt like I was being held back. Obviously, like, by my own not knowing like what's best. I feel like knowledge is like the thing that holds us, that holds a lot of us back. But yeah, it just took a little longer for me to kind of break out of that stuff, because that's kind of how the people that I knew, the people that I was hanging around were doing it, so I just kept doing it. And then I got into like deeper stuff, like I started taking pills like Xanax and everything like that. And I wasn't able to catch myself, man. I didn't really have anybody in my life, like a father figure or a male role model, to kind of tell me or like try to teach me better. So I kind of had to figure a lot of it on my own. So when I had my kid, a couple of years after that, that's when I realized that you know, it's like I have to start bettering myself to, you know, help those around me, because I can't help anybody if I can't help myself. So that's when I was like, okay, it's go time now. Like, I cut the weed, cut the pill. The pills I stopped a few years before, like once I found out, you know, the mother of my child was pregnant with him. Yeah. That's when I completely cut that off. But I was still smoking, going out every single night, coming home at like 4 or 5 in the morning. And, you know, and I don't want to say like I didn't have you around to kind of like help me out, but you were doing your thing, you know.
Yeah,
like having
I mean, you know, yeah, absolutely. We're all kind of branching out, so to get that support from friends, the closeness wasn't there.
Yeah.
The support was always there, but a lot of us, like, we self-sabotage. We are our own worst enemy, and everybody experiences that, but like you kind of have to, you know, like you kind of have to self-sabotage, and you kind of have to be your own worst enemy to be self-aware of that and to grow out of it and to be like, no, one day I decide I'm going to stop doing this, which I've seen you do. And man, you know, I'm really proud of you too, bro. Like, seeing how you've evolved, you know, what you're doing nowadays and how you kicked it into gear is just great to see. You know, you want to see all your friends win. So that was really good to see. And I knew, like, I couldn't do anything. You know, like, I could be there to support you, but ultimately, like, support is huge. It's tremendous, but it's really up to you at the end of the day if you want to change your life. So
absolutely, man. And that's why I don't believe in holding grudges, man. Like, I don't care how big of a dispute or whatever I had with anyone. Like, I just don't care. Like, I'll drop anything, man. Like, it really, I feel like, who really has time to hold grudges and stuff like that? Like, I just want to spread love and support to everyone. But yeah, that's kind of just how I am.
I mean, you know, you get what you give, right?
That's true.
So you don't want to, yeah, you know, I think it's, you know, you don't want to hold grudges and stuff, and you can disagree with something somebody's done in the past and still not see eye to eye, but if you accept it and you move on and, you know, you say, hey, it's bigger than that, then that's a very mature mindset.
I'm sorry, I was listening, but do you just remember the time when we were walking? And I just really want to share this story, man. You can stop me if you want, but I remember we were just walking and we were going to the mall as frickin' always.
Yeah.
It was just you and me going to the mall, walking during the winter, and somebody was trying to build like a snowman. They were doing something in the snow.
I remember this. And his dad, you talk See,
people always
I got what I deserved that day. I got what I deserved. Even though, okay, so this kid was building an igloo.
I'm sorry.
The kid was an asshole though at the time.
Really?
You know, actually when we grew, like in high school, I'm not going to mention his name, but this individual, you know, he got into fitness, he started bettering himself, and you could tell the energy he was putting out was good. But before, he was just one of those like little conniving fuckers that, like, you know, like we were the bad kids, and there was like the goody two shoes that would kind of be like an asshole and look down on people like us. So at the time, like, certainly I was wrong. You know, he was building an igloo, and I was fucking around with him, and we were like looking, and I like jumped on his igloo and made it collapse. Big dick move for sure. But like, you know, I feel like at the time he had it coming because he was just an asshole to us.
Oh, of course. Huh?
But then his fucking dad came out. And I was like, oh shit. His dad came out the house and grabbed me. He pulled me back to the other side of the street, and he tried throwing me in the snow. And I put like my foot down, and my foot went like, you know, like 7 inches deep in the snow. And then he was like, you know, I think he said something else. Like he was like,
or something.
Yeah, he was just cussing me out a little bit and telling me that, you know, he'll fuck me up if I do.
But that's wrong too, dude.
Dad. Look, no, you should never put your hands on a child like that, but guess what, man? Like, in his shoes, picture Isaac and some little fucker coming up and fucking up his project, and Isaac is crying. Like, you would probably want to go put your hands on the kid. He didn't hit me. He just grabbed me and pulled me. He was pushing me around a little bit, but experience, man. You know, at the end of the day, it's experience, and like, I was able to see like what I did wrong and the consequences of doing something wrong at an early age, and it's laughable. You know, the kid that I did it to, he's doing well, I hope. You know, and you know, that's a funny. This guy right here has a memory bank of like a god. Like he remembers everything. He'll be like, you remember this? And he'll just fucking unlock a part of my brain that I never knew existed. So that I remember vividly though. That was a funny time. And I was wrong for that.
I fuck that, dude. Fuck the guy for doing that still, man. Like, I think he's a dick for that. If he ever watches, dude, you're a dick, dude. I tell you. Fuck you, dude. I was scared, because obviously I was young. I was like, oh shit, I don't know what to do, you know?
Is he about to fuck him up? No. Yeah, that was funny. Good experience, like I said.
But dude, I feel like you were always targeted, because there was another time where we were walking towards Ridgewood, like just about to get on Montrose.
I remember the guy
you know what I'm talking? And a car drove by, and I don't know who, I think you knew the guy.
He yelled something at us.
He yelled something.
I wasn't just being a dick, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would be a dick back, is all I was doing, right? So this guy, if it turns out he was like friends with my brother, not like friends obviously, because he would know that I was his younger brother, but acquaintances, so they knew of each other, and they hung around each other, same group. This guy drove by on a car, and we were riding on bikes. And he yelled something out of his car. He just like, faggots or something. And excuse my French, y'all. Like, obviously, like, we used that word when we were younger, but we never meant it in like a homophobic way. It was kind of just like an insult, meaning like, but I never even knew up until like my early teenage, or like my later teenage years, that it was actually like an offensive term towards people who are gay. And I'm like, dude, I'm the opposite of homophobic, man, So anyway, he called us faggots when we were riding bikes. He drove by and yelled that out his window. Lame as fuck, he was probably like 19, 20 years old or something.
Wow,
and we were younger, we were like 14. And I just flicked them off, like anybody would. Like, somebody drives by, it's unsolicited. What did we do to you? he yelled that at us, and I flicked them off, just thinking nothing of it. So they spin the block. he pops out the car, comes up to me. He's like, "Don't flick me off," and pushes me off my bike, like hard. I felt that because I was like a kid, and this is like a grown teenager pushing me off my bike, and it's not like I cried. I got up and I felt like maybe like crying, but I didn't. And then I remember telling my brother about that and telling him that I recognized the kid, and like he was able to pinpoint who it was, and he checked his ass, and he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." So
see, that's a W, brother.
And another story. Do you remember at Norwich Park? We were playing football. Yeah, his older brother. We were friends with this kid and his older brother. We're playing football, and this is when I started like playing football. I was in 8th grade, so I was like, when we were playing, I was like, I'm better than these guys. So we were playing like some backyard football, and this guy had the ball, and I tackled him, and I remember I grabbed like his crotch area a little bit because he was slipping, and I wanted to finish the tackle. So like it seemed like a dirty tackle, but I didn't mean it to be. It wasn't like it wasn't intentional, but I definitely was like, you're not breaking this tackle, so I'm gonna do what it takes to pull you down. And then he got up, and I remember him getting up, and like I could sense the aggression. He like kind of kneed me like in my chest while we were getting up, not like hard, but you could tell he was like pissed. And I stood up, and he like started coming up to me, like trying to square up, and he swung on me like twice, and I was like dodged it, and I was like, yo, stop, chill. I wasn't like hostile. I love to compete, I love to be aggressive, but I did not like to fight. So I was really upset. I started crying like in anger, and I called up my brother. This guy was also like 6-7 years older than me, and he was like swinging haymakers on me. So like I called my brother up, he pulled up to the park, and same thing, he checked him, almost made him shit his pants. So Chris, shout out to you, my man.
Shout out to Chris,
older brother, man, best older brother ever, man. He always pulled up when I needed him. And he was always protective over me, so I'm really grateful and blessed to have that older brother that's just like a older, less handsome version of me that was able to protect me a lot when I was a kid when I needed it. So shout out to you, Chris. Love you, bro.
Dude, you know what's crazy is that for such a long time, like since I've known you, you've always mentioned your brother. You've always told stories of your brother, something about like him partying with his friends, or like heel flipping on a table or something like that. Yeah. But I never met him. Like I was always like, who is Mikey's brother? I've never seen him, never seen a photo of him or anything. Up until the point where I did meet him, and I don't even remember when I met him. But when I started getting to know him a little bit, like I'm like, dude, this guy is awesome. Like he's got such great energy, great vibes.
Man.
And like I remember when we would hoop around your old place. We were when he was just shooting around and stuff, and I was kind of like laughing, like how I am, like I'll laugh at just stupid things.
Yeah.
But he's like, I know I gotta step it up or something. When John starts laughing at me, I'm like, dude, no, I'm not laughing at you. You have such good vibes that I'm like just happy,
Yeah, like you can feel that makes you chuckle. Yeah, my brother is like, if you love the person that I am, but you haven't met my brother, be ready to kind of feel like a level up when you meet my brother.
Mikey 2.0.
Yeah, just another version of me. Great guy. I mean, just tremendous human being. And growing up around like my friends and my brother being involved here and there, and even to this day, like we got Super Bowl Sunday, first Super Bowl in Vegas this weekend, and my brother will be at Adam's place. We're all gonna link up, and so it's cool to see how we can kind of fuse those friend groups a little bit. He doesn't really talk to too much of his friends, that he like grew up around, but I feel like that's a big difference between him and I, is like I feel like I've been blessed with a lot of things in life. One of those things, big things, is like my friends. Like you, like Adam, and don't take this personal if I don't mention y'all. You, Adam, JR, Joey, Sam, and then you go to like Nico, Phil. Who else? Am I missing anybody?
A lot of people.
Staple friends. Like staple, you know, like, I mean, these are all my homies that like, Angel, big time. Angel's my guy. Like, you know, if I forgot any of y'all, you know you're my core homie, like 10-year dudes, 10 plus years.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like, I know I'll be friends with y'all for life, you know, like forever. And it's so cool to think about the quality of friends I have and the quantity. I've just been blessed tremendously, like with these friends and the memories we made growing up and stuff, and the challenges we've been through. We've all bickered and you know, went in each other's necks and stuff and held grudges for a year or two. But now as we progress into adults, we're getting older. Some of us, you know, have kids. Some of us this and that. So we see what really matters in life. So we've rekindled these friendships, and shout out to all my friends. I love y'all.
There it is. Well, I don't want to...
Charlie, Chuck, sorry to miss you. Chuck is big time, man. Big time childhood friend. So shout out. And Zoran too, those are my guys.
Hell yeah. But like I said, like I don't want to hold you up too long. I know you got things to do. I got to get headed back. But I appreciate you being here, man, and tremendously, like, for taking your time to be here. I hope to have you on again soon. Maybe run something with your brother or something. We could definitely get it going.
A little dual action. I would love that,
dude,
man.
You can run it, dude.
And you know, on a side note, this doesn't even need to be included on the podcast. I was telling my client today. He's the bald guy, Paulo, the hairstylist guy. Tremendous guy, man. I was just telling him we were shooting this podcast today after our session, and he said, oh, if you need someone, like, you know, I'll talk to him. And I said, well, that's great. He's got a beautiful studio in Lakeview where he does his hair clients. So, you know, if you ever just wanted to talk to somebody, I mean, just about, like, you know, he's been a business owner for some years. He travels all the time. You can talk to him about fitness, motivation stuff, you know. So
I love to, man. I love meeting.
You added that part out, you know, not really necessary for the audience, but yeah, if you like, you can.
I appreciate you, man. And again, man, I appreciate you being here, man. I love it, man. Thank you so much,
bro.
brother.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks, everyone.
See y'all.